Hello, everybody. Welcome to the broadcast here on Bloodhound Sports. My name is Nick St. Clair. We're bringing you the Penn City Current pregame show. We appreciate you tuning in. Once again, we are not covering tonight's varsity football game. That is being streamed over at the Waverly Shell Rock Athletic YouTube channel. You can find that the link in the description, or if you scan the QR code, which will pop up here in just a second, you'll be able to find the game live stream. Game time is set to kick off at about 7 o'clock, but first we have the Penn City Current pregame show. Again, huge shout out to Chuck Vandenberg and head football coach Doherty for providing their time for this interview. Again, the Penn City Current is your hyper-local, super fresh, 24/7 source for news and information that can be found conveniently on your computer, smartphone, or tablet. Follow the Penn City Current on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Penn City Current, and always online at their website at PennCityCurrent.com. Let's get into this pregame show. It's about 25 minutes long, so we'll be back in about 25 minutes to cover some stats between both teams. Enjoy the show.
Okay, so we're here on the 10th week with Derek Doherty and the Penn City Current preview. I think the last time we did a playoff preview was when you went up to Grinnell, and I think we had Justin and Jason both in the room at the same time. So,
Right.
Which was interesting. But I thought that maybe this time we would just stick with you and kind of talk a little bit about what the last week has been like. I mean, since Friday. I mean, what an emotional, physical, compelling football game with a rival that's probably going to be a rival for a while. I mean, that rivalry, you guys had another champs trophy. I think that was just created.
Yep.
I mean, the welding team or the welding class put that together. What
Yep.
a neat thing that was. And you guys got one for wrestling too, I think. So
Yep.
that rivalry is really starting to heat up. But tell me what the last 4 days has been like for you. I know you've been obviously been looking ahead to Waverly Shell Rock, who is number 2 in Class 4A, and these guys are undefeated, and they play it. You know, it's unfamiliar territory really because you don't have any familiar opponents. But let's talk a little bit about last Friday and just now that you've had time to decompress from that. What did you learn from that, and just how great of a win was that on Friday night?
Yeah, I'll tell you, it feels a lot better than 365 days ago. You know, and
Yeah.
both ends there, and so it was great. I mean, just seeing our kids dig down deep and find a way, and that's kind of been our way all year, is finding a way. We've been down in most of our games, you know, to start, and we've said it before, that's something that we're proud of inside of our program, is just our mental fortitude to fight and dig and claw our way out of situations, and you know, we feel that that's kind of a change from the past. Fort Madison used to, if they got jumped on early, they would just fall apart, and our kids, you know, have gone the opposite way. It's not abnormal. I mean, not that we're planning on it to go down 7 or 14 right away, but if we do, you know, we're pretty calm and relaxed and ready to just go out and chip away and get after it. So really proud of their mental side of, you know, handling adversity, and that's one of the pillars of our program is just being mentally tough, and our kids know what that means inside of our program, and not only do they know what it means, but they're showing it. And so as a coaching staff, we are thrilled with their response to adverse situations, and then just settling in and figuring out the X's and O's and the execution part. They were giving us great feedback coming off of different series and telling us what they thought was open, what wasn't open. Just shows their maturity and their understanding of our system. Mm-hmm. So, you know, we wanted the ball, and Aiden Boyer at one point said, "Get me the frickin' ball back," and we were really proud of him because, you know, he had some series where he was not so happy with himself, but he wanted the ball, and those are the guys that we want. We want the guys that want the ball in their hands with the game on the line, because they've earned it.
Yeah.
And it was exciting.
Was that talking about Henry on that play too? Let's just get specific about that last play because Aiden had struggled going down the field. He was doing fine on the bubble screens and the jets and that kind of stuff, but had struggled a little bit going downfield. He had a pick, had a couple that bounced off some other players' numbers they just couldn't catch. And I'm talking about defensively that probably should have been picked. But then this one was just executed perfect in the post game. I saw the safety bite, and I knew that I had to get rid of the ball right. I mean, this thing was very clear in his head as to what he needed to do, and he was very emotional about that. You know, he wanted that.
Yeah, we had just missed on a couple things, and then we missed badly too, where the interception happened, and him and I on the sideline had conversation. Awesome, you get 2 minutes to be mad or whatever it may be, and then after that 2 minutes, we need you to focus back in, and credit to him for just being an ultra competitor and being able to do that. I mean, that comes with the territory of being the quarterback. And him and I have had several conversations of, the same situation, being a head coach and being a quarterback. Like, you got to shoulder it sometimes. It all comes back to you. You're the guy that's answering questions, and it's a big position, and he doesn't take it lightly. So he realized early on that most of the bad throws were happening because of his feet. He's got a rocket launcher for an arm. I don't think anybody will tell you otherwise. But he throws his best balls, like most quarterbacks, when his feet are active. Sometimes he gets lazy and tries drifting away or throwing off his back foot or whatever it may be. And he knows that about himself. So he went in there, and it was him. He fixed it. This was right after a timeout. We were, Justin and I were talking about what we felt was going to be open, and we went with it, and it hit.
Yeah, it was great. And I would assume Henry was biting at the bit too to, have another shot because he went up for that ball right there. It was like, that was one of the cleanest plays I think that I've seen, at least Friday night, but maybe for the year, one of the cleanest downfield plays that you guys have had. Yeah, and what a time to have it.
It hit, and it hit well, and just the whole system, the front line doing what they needed to do to give him time. He delivered it right on time, and it's a beautiful thing when that happens.
Yeah, and you set it up well with a bunch of runs prior to that. You had them, Hayden was getting some yardage, and they had to pull their secondary up a little bit to stop that, and then you were able to go over the top. It was just a really nice, seemed like a nice sequence to have in play.
We practice tempo stuff, so just talking with some people, are like, man, we thought that you guys were letting the clock run. Listen, we practice it, and we did a good job of it, I felt, and Justin Minky did a great job of it. Usually I'm the 2-minute guy, and he was just so locked in. I know I said that post game, but he was locked in. Man, not taking this from you. He was dialed in, ready to go, and again did a great job.
Yeah, just good job all the way around, and a good job defensively there in the second half to snuff that run. You guys had what, 2 possessions in the first half?
Yeah.
And no possessions in the first quarter.
Right.
And they were running and eating up the clock, and that's the way Krekel likes to play, is chew it up, and then you guys made some adjustments and started shutting that down. So I thought it was a nice defensive adjustment there in the second half as well. Yeah,
we kept telling the guys, the turnover is going to happen. We just got to keep cracking. We got to force them into a mistake, and then that was the gasoline that really sparked the fire, I felt like. I mean, a big turnover. Brody Cashman comes up with a fumble recovery. We're on our side. Let's get this thing rolling. And those are the things that we were preaching to our kids all week. And just when it happens and they look at you and they're, man, this is what you guys said, just that the belief intensifies. Yeah. So it's great.
Well, and that was, you give a little love to Kane Williams for getting in on that and getting putting the pop on that kid and knocking that ball loose. So that's the first thing I did was went over to Josh and said, who hit him? We saw Brody get on it, but who hit him? And Josh pulled up the play right there on the side. Well, let's look and see. And then we saw that it was Kane that hit him. So
and he was fired up afterwards, man, and rightfully so. It was awesome seeing that emotion out of him.
Yeah, and what a football game to end the regular season on. So now you get the playoffs. Grinnell didn't work out so well, but obviously, a program is lessons learned, and I'm sure you guys, are going to look at that a little bit. But then, you have you got a Waverly Shell Rock team that hasn't been beaten. They're putting up about 42 points a game. Avon Newsom is a utility kid. He's a big threat. I think the Haggerty kid's got about 1,200 yards and leads the team in tackles. And that's one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is I was looking through the roster and the stats and those kind of things, and they don't run a whole new unit out, but they run some fresh faces out there, whereas Iowa City Liberty, North Scout, you were seeing units come on and off the field. So does that work in your favor a little bit? I mean, maybe not work in your favor, but even even the scale a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, we'll find out for sure. But when you got a guy like McCray Haggerty, he's a state wrestling champion. He's just he's a war daddy. It's gonna be hard whether you're single platooning or two platooning to keep a guy like that off the field. Mm-hmm. So they do sub, and they've got that depth. But the Newsom kid again is getting some big D1 looks. It's gonna be hard to keep those types of kids off the field. Anyways, but I don't know. We'll find out. I mean, it is what it is, and whether you're facing a team that can two platoon or not, you still got to play them, and we have a game plan. We're going to go up and try to execute our game plan and try to make them play our style of football, and that's the plan. So
I think that if you look at these Go Hawks, they're a little like Burlington, and they prefer to run. I mean, they probably have 8 kids with more than 20 carries, and I think that they had probably 15 or 16 that have rushing attempts on the season. But the Haggerty kid obviously has got the big yards, but Newsom's got some big yards. The quarterback's not afraid to take it and run with it, but then they will throw. Whereas Burlington, I think, threw 1 pass last week.
Right.
So these guys will throw a little bit if they have to, but they prefer to run it at you.
Yeah, they line up in that single wing. They'll line up in trips. I mean, they're really dynamic. So they're. You can't kind of back them into a corner, where that was our goal with Burlington. Was we knew that last year we wanted them to put the ball in the air, and we just didn't make it happen. Left too much time on the clock, and they gambled and they didn't panic, and they ran the ball. This year we made them put the ball in the air. We know good things are going to happen when they have to put the ball in the air. We feel, but these guys will do it whenever they want. It doesn't have to be a 3rd and long situation or a game on the line situation. They'll put it up first down. But you're right, they do like to pound the rock, and they've got a great offensive line, obviously a back that's just chewing up yards, and they've got a nice system, and it works for them. And obviously a lot of these kids are the same faces. They were in the semifinals last year. They lost to Lewis Central, so it's a really good program.
Yeah, it's a good program. Talk about you're building a program with Justin and Jason and Josh and Ryan and all the other guys that are involved in this thing on a day-to-day basis. That's constantly in the hunt for postseason. Really, since you got here, Derek, you had we go up against these bigger schools, and what I referred to many times is we get smacked around by the economics of football, but what do you learn from those games that, you said last week that you're trying to, there's going to have to be some serious, research or at least cognizant process of how you get over that hump with those bigger schools. Knowing that you went up to Grinnell 2 years ago and got shut out up there, and then Iowa City, Liberty, North Scots, those teams always tend to bring us back to reality. What have you learned? What has this staff learned about those games and how you can take something special up to Waverly on Friday?
Well, yeah, that's a great question. We all have our part. We all have our strengths as a coaching staff, and we're really trying to lean on each other for that. Learning our guys has kind of been the biggest thing, and I know I've said it several times. I think some of them were almost took it offensively when I said these guys are just different, and I can't stress it enough. When I say that they are different, I'm not saying that in a negative way. Jason Crooks and I, we're cut from the same cloth. We're pretty wound tight and focused and whatever. And these guys are a little more silly and relaxed, and that's when they're at their best. And sometimes you can view that as like a lack of focus or whatever else. But to be quite honest with you, the 2 times that they were really quiet and not energetic and not normal were the Iowa City and North Scott weeks. I mean, when we looked back at that, was that us putting too much pressure on them? Was that us, taking them out of who they are and trying to get them in between the lines, because that's how I operate most of the time? Just learning to allow them to be them. So last night they were being a little bit silly and running around, but they were getting the job done. That's the biggest thing that I've got to focus on is, are we staying on script? Are we getting the things done? If we say 10, are we getting all 10 done? If so, they don't have to be real tight about it.
Okay.
And so just learning who they are and allowing them to be themselves and just aiding them in the right direction.
Is there a way to keep that deer in the headlight look? Oh, I mean, you got a 3-hour drive up to Waverly if you think about a school bus.
Yeah.
It's not going to take me 3 hours to get up there. But is there a way to keep them grounded? And, like you said last time, it's still 100 yards, it's still 100 yards we got to go. It's still the same dimensions, the same number of officials, the same number of kids, how do you keep them grounded?
Yeah, we've got a game plan. We're going to get out of here at a fairly decent time. That way we can get up there. It felt like Iowa City, we didn't get off the bus, and because it literally felt like as soon as we got off the bus, we were in the locker room changing into our pants, hurrying up, trying to get out there.
And that was an early start, that game.
Yeah, it was. And the timing just wasn't right. For people who are oftentimes highly competitive, they have, their, some people call them superstitions, some people call it a routine, whatever you call it. They have those. And when that stuff gets disrupted, sometimes chaos hits. And one, as a competitor, you have to learn how to adjust to that. And that's part of what we're trying to do with these guys. But, our plan is to try to avoid a lot of that. So we're going to get out of here at a decent time. We're going to get up there. We're going to be able to settle in. We're going to get our pregame. We're not going to be able to lift like we usually do. We had some things in the works with, Wartburg College. We were trying to work with them and get into a facility. But we've got some road things that we do, and getting them in there, allowing them some downtime, allowing, them to go and be them for a little bit and relax. And some of them like to go and listen to probably some dark, heavy music.
Yeah.
Some of them like to go and joke around, a lot of moving parts there, but getting there in time for them to go through their regular routines and settle in and get familiar with the area. And then once the whistle blows, football is football. So we know what our game plan is. I feel like we've got a good game plan. Every week we have a good game plan. I mean, my coordinators are fantastic, and then our coaches coach the heck out of our guys. And sometimes, it just doesn't work out. That's the game, but we've got another great game plan. We've got a plan to get up there and allow our kids to settle in. And then once the whistle blows, it's time to go play some football.
And I know that you guys, look at it's just the team in front of you. But I looked at the RPI numbers, and you guys finished the season at 13, and Waverly Shell Rock finished at 2. In a natural seeding, you don't get them. You would have gotten Iowa City Liberty in a natural seeding.
Yeah.
Was there something that they did because you guys had played each other originally? Are you up to speed on anything that happened there and why that kind of got shuffled a little bit? Not that Iowa City Liberty isn't just as tough as Waverly Shell Rock or anything like that. I'm just looking at the RPI and how that Pod B shook out. Yeah,
I'll be honest, no, I don't look at that. I was pretty confident that we were going to be in. Obviously, I felt like we were deserving to be in. Where we ended up, I don't know. Like the coaches were in our group chat back and forth. Mathematics is not my strong suit, and so when we were going through all that stuff, I really did think that we were going to Iowa City Liberty again. And I was interested to see how we would respond to that, because our Monday meeting after that game, all of our guys were like, "That was not us," and it would have been interesting to play them again and say, "Hey man, here, you guys said this wasn't us. Let's go up there and see, if we can get to be us and see where we stack up against these guys." Burlington played them really, really tough. So, I mean, that was kind of what I was preparing for, to be quite honest. And I went to a youth volleyball game. My stepdaughter was playing, and the people that came up to me, they actually knew it before I did.
Right. I was playing golf, and I was like, just kept hitting refresh.
Yep.
And so we got it out pretty quick.
Yeah, I had my phone, and I was doing the same thing. But anybody that's been to our middle school knows that the reception there is not very good. So I put my phone away, and all of a sudden I had a gentleman come up and say, "Waverly, huh?" I'm like, "Oh, I guess that's where we're going." So
that's what you say. That's where we're going.
And so that's honestly how I found out. And I don't know. I don't know what they do if they try to keep you away from a district opponent round one. We are in the same pod as North Scott.
Right.
So I never really looked at that, to be quite honest.
If you'd have lost at Burlington, you'd have been 6-3.
Yeah.
They would have been 6-3. Did you still stuck into the playoffs if with a loss there? Because last week when I was looking at it, it was very difficult, and I'm not a math guy either. I'm a writer, but
Right.
to me it seemed there was an outside shot that you both could have gotten in there, even if you had lost. Did you have? I mean, I know you went out there. We're going to win this football game.
Right. And that was something that we talked about was there was a little bit of the mathematics being played out, and so thank God I have really good, smart coaches, and they were crunching the numbers and doing their thing, and they were hey, you know what, man, if worst comes to worst and we do not come up on the good side of this, we still might make
There's
it.
still a
like,
shot. Yeah.
My mentality was we don't want to backdoor our way in. We want to do it right, and they're the same way. They were just looking
Right.
intrigued by that, and I do think that there was a chance of us. A lot of that depends on how the other teams do. I mean, we were sitting at 11th on the RPI, and then some strange things happened with somebody beating somebody, and all of a sudden we moved down to 13th.
Yeah.
Again,
Even with the win, you moved down
not
to 13th.
not a mathematician, but we win and we move down. Kind of strange to me, but that's the way that it played out. And it is what it is. We're dealt the hand that we are, and we got to play it. So we're just excited to be here.
So, knowing that this will probably be played 45 minutes before the game starts, and I never really ask you to go into X's and O's and anything like that, but Hayden has been a tremendous breath of fresh air out of the backfield for you guys, and it hasn't been, he's just lit it up, but he finds gaps. He finds places to sneak out an extra yard or 2 yards, which has, I think, just in watching the last 2 games, made Teague a better runner. Given your offensive line, a boost mentally that there's somebody else back there that can break one. We've seen Teague break them. How is that playing out, and is that a part of the game plan going forward Friday?
Yeah, absolutely. It's nice having a two-headed monster back there. I mean, you do have Teague, who, again, is fully capable of breaking a big run, but he's more of your traditional power back. He's going to get real tough yards. He's going to fall forward majority of the time. Oftentimes, he delivers the hit instead of taking the hit. And then we do have a change of pace with Sego. Sego has really good vision, just natural vision. I mean, the kid literally had a couple practices to be a running back,
right.
And then all of a sudden just started gashing, and so his vision is really good. He's learning the playbook still. I mean, he said it in one of the articles of sometimes I have to ask the quarterback, where am I going here? But that just, again, we run a zone concept. So back in the day, it was always like, 21, it was a 2-back through the 1 hole. Like we allow our running backs to have vision where they're going to have a couple different, off their aiming point, couple different cuts that they can make.
Okay.
And Patrick Lamb does a great job with them on that. So it just fits him, his natural innate vision that he has, and being able to change direction and just be an athlete. So, and it's made Teague run the ball harder. Teague's a competitor, and it's healthy, and he likes competition. It gives him a breather.
Yep.
So, Teague wants the ball in his hands all the time. He wants to be the guy on the field, but he's also a team guy, and he understands that, hey, if I can get a breather, I'm going to be even better. And we love that about him.
Yeah, and that's what Hayden said in the postgame, was that he was looking to give, he wasn't looking to take a spot. He was looking to give Teague a break, a breather.
And you got to give, a kid like Teague Smith a ton of love, because he's in the backfield during practice coaching Hayden when he's not in. So, he could be what a lot of normal teenagers would do and be, spiteful about it and go stand on the sideline, and that's just not Teague Smith. Teague Smith's a team first guy, and can't say enough about him.
Yeah. And then it was an emotional win Friday night too. I mean, we can't not mention Mateo and his father and how difficult that had to have been for him that week in practice. But he said, you guys gave him all the support and gave him the time to be alone when he needed to be alone, and were there for him when he needed people there. And he said that there was nothing that was going to stop him from putting the pads on that week. He was going to play.
You give me the chills, and I'm starting to get into the emotions again. I just, man, I love Mateo so much, and GJ was such a huge piece to Fort Madison athletics for so long, and you start hearing the stories. We went to a celebration of life, and just seeing all the people there, and the impact that he made, and oh man, just wild. So proud of Mateo for choosing what he felt was best. We weren't going to push it, obviously. I mean, it was 100% his decision, what he felt he needed to do and what he wanted to do. And we obviously are extremely thrilled that he wanted to be with us. You know, he's got a coaching staff who loves him dearly and lifelong. And, you know, we really did want what's best for him. And the fact that he chose us, we're really thankful.
Yeah. Well, go up there and make some noise. We're obviously going to be there. And, you know, I'm all about doing this again next Wednesday. So
Absolutely.
if you can make that happen, that would be great. You know, we need to have copy for Thursday, so you're always good copy. And then after the game Friday, you know, I'm staying up there Friday night, gonna do the story there, and then I'm driving over to Fort Dodge to watch the cross country kids, which is just a great story there too. So if anybody's staying up there, you know, shoot over to Fort Dodge and watch those kids run. That's really a neat course, and it's exciting to have a cross country team up there for the first time since 2009 or 2012. I can't remember, one of those years in there, but that's great for them too.
Absolutely. We're excited to follow their successes, and it's been awesome. Love Brian Mendez and everything that he's about in his program, and we're thrilled for those guys. So it's awesome.
That'll be fun. But Friday night's going to be that's what we're talking about here, and let's go make some magic up there.
Absolutely. Roll Hounds.
Thanks, Derek.
All right. Hope you enjoyed that pregame show. Huge shout out once again to Chuck Vandenberg with the Penn City Current, along with head football coach Derek Doherty. Hey, if you're still in town tonight, not going up to the game, but you want to watch it, of course, we've got the QR code up there in the top right corner. We got the chat link in the link for the game in our chat here, as well as also in the description of this live stream. They've got it going on at Baxter Sports Complex here in Fort Madison. Shout out to them. They've got some food and drink specials going on. They're going to be showing the game and having a good time over there. Get a quick shout out to all of our sponsors for Bloodhound Sports this year. They are the Bloodhound Booster Club, Lee County Bank, Wondra Chiropractic and Acupuncture, Mann's McDonalds, Clearview Vision Center, Carla McEntee with Fraise Auction and Real Estate, Submarine Sandwich Shop, Scott's Miracle-Gro Company, and of course, sponsoring this pregame show, the Penn City Current. Let's dive in now to some stats. First, we'll cover Waverly Shell Rock, the Go Hawks. This year, they got their leading quarterback is number 4, Cole Marshall Jr. He's 52 for 103 in the year, just over 50% completion rate. He's thrown for 860 yards, 10 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. Then you come down here and you see their running stats, and that's definitely where it's at. You can see they've got one guy down here, McCray Haggerty, number 43. He's a senior, 144 carries for over 1,000 yards, checking at 1,269. That's 21 touchdowns, and he's broke off for a 71-yard touchdown this year. We got Asa Newsome as well in there, a senior, 31 carries, 567 yards, and 8 touchdowns. So obviously they're a very run-heavy team who passes occasionally here. Other lead rushers there, you got Tyler Gare, 28 carries, 193 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Simon Ott in there, 13 carries, 124 yards. Quarterback rushed 27 times for 55 yards, 3 touchdowns. Come down to receiving here. You got Newsome in there, number 23, the leading receiver, 24 catches, 392 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Simon Ott and Benny Ramker both in there at 160 yards and 3 total touchdowns between those two. Defensively, they got Newsome in there with 38 solo tackles, 51 total tackles. They got Rose in there at 31 tackles, 36 total. Come down, they got 10 sacks on the year, 60 tackles for a loss. So a solid defensive unit there for them. They've recovered 10 fumbles on the year. Haggerty has 4 to himself. 9 interceptions on the year. Their main kick returner there is Newsome. Newsome just does everything for this Waverly team. 7 returns, 193 yards, and a touchdown. Punt returns, got Ramker and Wilson in there, 8 and 6 returns each for them, 91 and 66 yards. They do have 1 returning touchdown by Newsome on the kick return department. Their main kicker is number 6, Simon Ott, 56 kickoffs. He's 38 for 38 on point after attempts and 1 for 4 on field goals. Main punter looks to be Ott as well, 10 punts, 364 yards. They've gone for 8 2-point conversions this year, converting 4 of those. So there's the look in there for the Go Hawks. Let's switch over now to our Fort Mac. Maybe. There we go. Obviously, Aiden Boyer, been a stud this year. 131 completions out of 218 throws. 1,372 yards, 14 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions. He's had a great year. And obviously, Teague Smith, run a lot. Hayden Segoviano has a late as well. Teague Smith, 137 carries, 567 yards, 8 touchdowns on the ground. Hayden Segoviano, 24 carries, 96 yards, and a touchdown. Aiden Boyer obviously runs it quite a bit too, 83 times for 225 yards and 2 touchdowns. Receiving, last week was Henry Wiseman catching a lot of passes, including the game winner there late in the game, about 31 seconds left. 40 catches, 496 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Leif Boating, 26 catches, 424 yards, 4 touchdowns. Nathaniel Swigert, 18 catches, 160 yards, 2 touchdowns. And Kane Williams in there, 41 catches, 355 yards, 5 touchdowns. Defensively, a lot of Bloodhounds, got a lot of tackles. Hayden Segoviano's got 60.5 total, 28 solo, 5 sacks, and 9.5 tackles for a loss. He's been a dog out there on defense. Teague Smith in there, 39 total tackles, 16 solo, 2.5 for a loss. Got Ike Thatcher, 36.5 total tackles. Tanner Settles, 53.5 tackles. He's got 3 sacks, 12.5 tackles for a loss. Ike Thatcher, 36.5. Brody Cashman been a dog out there, 28 tackles, 16 solo tackles, 5 sacks, 8 tackles for a loss. Tanner Settles, Corey Arnett. As a team, Bloodhounds have 384 tackles for, total tackles, 192 solo tackles, 26 sacks, and 65.5 tackles for a loss. 4 recovered fumbles on the year, 8 interceptions. Doing the kick returns has been Kane Williams and Henry Wiseman for the most part. You got Kane Williams doing most of the punt returns. We got 9 of them this year. Hopefully break one for a touchdown tonight. Haven't had that this year, but been a lot of excitement for the Bloodhound special teams in recent years. Leif Boating done most of the kicking as far as point afters and field goals go. 5 for 6 and 17 for 24. Henry Graham with all the kickoff duties. Punting, of course, is Aiden Boyer, 30 times. Oliver Santiago got on there 3 times. And Teague Smith 2 for 4 on point after attempts. 2-point conversion attempts, rather. But yeah, so hopefully Bloodhounds can go up to Waverly Shell Rock. Of course, it was a long drive, about 3 hours, give or take. And those guys are ready to play some football, I guarantee you. And hopefully win tonight and play again next week. Have another Penn City Current pregame show. Do appreciate all the support we've had this year at all the games. We do appreciate you all tuning in. And, of course, if you're there at the game, even better. Awesome to see Richmond Stadium, Jimmy Field filled up all the time. And, of course, all the 4 away games we went to this year before tonight. All the support there as well. Yeah, so we're going to kick this hopefully over to the game here soon. Again, the QR code in the top right corner will take you there. Also, link in the description of this live stream will take you there as well to their main channel. Hopefully, they'll be live here anytime now. We'll have score updates on our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitters. All those accounts will have updates for any scores and stuff like that. Start back at the top here. You can kind of see what the stats look like. You guys are here in the pregame show with Chuck Vandenberg and Derek Doherty that Bloodhounds finished the season 13 in the RPI rankings and Waverly Shell Rock at number 2. But okay, that's going to do it for this pregame show. Appreciate everybody who tuned in. Again, huge shout out to Chuck Vandenberg, the Penn City Current, for sponsoring this pregame show. And of course, to all of our sponsors to make all of our broadcasts possible throughout the year. We're going to kick it on the ending screen for a little bit. Hopefully, the Waverly Charlotte channel goes live here in the next 10 minutes or so. And we'll be completely wrapped up there. Again, thanks for watching. Hope you guys have a great night. And hopefully, we'll see you next week. Anybody still here? The game over at the Waverly Shell Rock channel has began. Kickoff should begin here within about the next 15 minutes. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Hope you have a great night. Go Bloodhounds, and we'll see you hopefully next week.